today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're taking a look at a NUX pedal, part of their Verdugo series. It is the Fireman Distortion, and it is on Fireman.
Yeah. So if you want the brown sound,
yes, in a black box.
In a black box, you get it. 2 channels, shares an EQ. So when Pat and I were talking about it earlier, I was like, it's much like your amp, some of the amps that you use that have 2 different channels, share an EQ. Same kind of principle, kind of very. I'm not sure I would call it an amp in a box, but I mean, kind of like that. You know, you really can change. The Tyler back here is screaming. Like, sounds great. So yeah, you have a volume and gain for each channel. You have a red and a green channel. And then you have a bass, treble, presence, and tight control. I guess we're into the features.
You are.
On the back, really cool feature, you have a switch that takes it from true bypass to buffered bypass. So if you have long cable runs, have it on buffer bypass, and we have it on that right now because we have a long cable run. And then you also have a switch to go from 9 volts to 18 volts. So you plug it in 9 volts, like a normal 9 volt pedal power, whatever you're using. But if you flip the switch internally, it jacks it up to 18 and gives you a little more headroom. And what am I missing? You have an on-off button and then the other button to go between the red and the green. And you have soft switches there. Yeah. Metal enclosure, kind of almost like a powder coated finish to it.
Very different than one of the other series that we looked at in that pedal. It's very not shiny, not glossy.
I think. Oh, and then there's a pedal out. There's an extra input that you can plug an external switching pedal in. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, let's start where reference tone.
Podcast. For some reason, we're doing a distortion pedal, so I pick up the 95 standard PRS with Dragon pickups in it. Then I'm going bridge. I don't know. Reverb in the Tyler.
Cool. So to get into this, I think we were talking about this, maybe starting on the red channel and talking EQ first. And then talk gain and volume, and then jump over to the green channel. Because, there's a lot in here. We don't want to take our normal 30 minutes. We're trying to keep them, within reason. So is that about right?
Sure. Yeah.
So right now we're on the red channel. You have the gain about 1 o'clock, volume 9 o'clock, and everything at noon. Why don't you play a little bit, and I'll move the bass all the way off and then the bass all the way up and do the same. We'll just do treble and bass real quick together and then end it back at noon.
All right. Yep, you go.
Click the pedal on. So let's get into the tight feature. And so one of the people we saw talk about this, and we thought it was an interesting way to describe it, presence.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You were talking about tight. I was ready to go. But yes, presence.
Presence. It's almost like another treble. We think almost like another treble knob. But it's really kind of attacking those real highs, I think, in the treble. So, like, it's letting you adjust your treble and then really sculpt the top of that. And maybe more apparent when you flip to 18 volts because you have more headroom.
All right.
So, if you play and I move the presence down and up, go back to 12, and then maybe flip it to 18 volts and do it again.
All right.
Makes sense?
Sure. It gets squeaky, you know, with all the overdrive. I was like, is there someone talking in her voices? You know, just the hand, you know. I wasn't playing open chords. Of course, I was sliding bar chords to just make extra noise there. But
so that's switching it back to 9. You want to do the same thing. So presence, or the tight knob now, it's doing kind of the same thing as the presence knob, but it's doing it on the bottom end.
Yeah.
So as we go to the left, it should loosen up, maybe more of a classic rock tone that way. As you go to the right, it should tighten. Boy, we're really... It should tighten. Yeah, it's not you.
Well, I turned the volume up. Sorry.
We have the gain going. As we go to the right, it should more metal zone, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to, maybe degent or
That's
something.
what I was. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about the classic rock side.
Degent, right?
I think so. I'll be degentle. So are we classic rocking it first, or
well, I'll go to
right in the middle. All right. Copyright. All the strikes. I didn't play any of it well enough to be recognized. If I had turned on Shazam, I'd have been like, I don't know what you're playing. Sloppier than Jimmy Page.
Yeah, but I mean, you definitely can hear that.
Yeah.
Like, you hear it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. For most people, and this is kind of a pedal that, like, for me, I'm like, there's too much. There's too many knobs.
That's right.
But when you break it down, it's a volume, it's a bass and a treble. You know, volume and a gain. Like you would normally have a bass and a treble. Okay, I can handle that. If you take the tight and the presence and put them at noon or 11, somewhere between 11 and 1 seems to be, whatever. Right. They're not probably affecting it a whole lot. You can sculpt with the bass and the treble. Mm-hmm. If you want a little extra, then you can get it. If you want even more, flip it to 18 volts and you get even more.
Yeah.
So
more tweakability.
That's pretty cool. Let's should we run the gain knob just to see?
We can.
I'm not sure we're going to turn the volume knob up to 12 tonight.
Probably not.
But we can take the gain all the way down. We'll give it a little more volume. Take the gain all the way down and run the gain knob once.
All right. Sure.
Actually, you know what? And we'll do that on both channels.
All right. Do you want to say it again? Because I'm trying to think of what I want to play.
We'll do it on both. We'll go both channels while you're playing.
All right.
So I flip back and forth. We got the gain all the way up. The other channel had the gain all the way up. So I flip back and forth. Mm-hmm. They should sound really close to each other with the green channel having a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, it was interesting too. Like even that's with the gain all the way down. That's still a pretty cool sound with the gain all the way down.
And actually, when I was playing it earlier when we were playing together, responsive to the volume knob too. Mm-hmm. Like when I rolled the volume back, it did clean up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure it got sparkly clean, but it cleaned up a little bit. Right. That output in the back is there's an extra jack in the back for an external switch. And so we have our trusty electrical box here that has a couple switches in it. And one of those, these two bottom switches are TRS. So if you have a TRS cable, you take that out, tip and ring, one of these switches will turn the pedal on and off. I was thinking like this would be great with my granddaughter because I could have her like point at the pedal and do it from over here.
Like,
she'd be all excited.
You're a wizard, Harry.
It's like when I use my phone to turn the light on and off every time she touches it. She thinks I'm a wizard.
Childlike wonderment.
Right. My dad used to do that with the high beam light in the car when the foot switch. Yes. Yes. So one of these buttons, not to get off track, turn that on and off, turn the pedal on and off. The other button will switch between channels. So, if you want to put that somewhere, if you have your Smith array board and you have that down underneath, you want to put this up in the front.
If you have a $3,000 board and a $12 switcher.
Right. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, right. $12 might have been generous.
So, although we were saying earlier, this stupid little electrical box we've used it a lot on the show. We should put something together to show you how to make it because it's pretty cheap and pretty easy to do. NUX might have, I would imagine they have their own pedal to do that, but
we'll have to find out.
We don't have it. So, that's that. And I think with that, was there anything that we needed to get in?
I think so. Went through both channels. Went through the 4-tone sculpting. We talked about 18 volt, 9 volt. We talked about buffered, non-buffered, and we showed how a switch could be utilized.
In both clips we did, I think we were running it at 18 volt.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see where the knobs were on those clips. So with that, I think we always like to take a moment.
Yes.
Just thank everybody that's watching and clicking the subscribe button, hitting the notification bell, leaving comments, any of that stuff, liking the video. Anytime you interact with the show, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, it really helps us out. We appreciate that. Stop out to the website. We've done a bunch of NUX pedals. There's a place on the website where you can see all the NUX pedals that we've done. And thank you to our members. We appreciate those people that are signing up to join a conversation with us and help kind of direct where we go and just be part of the show and help support us in that way. We appreciate it. So I think with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear, especially if it is loud.